Sometimes in life you meet someone who makes a difference. Well, you're about to meet someone who does just that. He makes a difference in how you sleep. His name is Dale Gingrich from Monterey Mattress Company. So, it's pretty amazing what he does. Check this out.
All right, let's do one more take. Let's do.
Sometimes in life you meet someone who makes a difference. Well, you're about to meet someone who does just that. He makes a difference in how you sleep. His name is Dale Gingrich from Monterey Mattress Company. Let's go see why and how he makes a difference.
All right.
Sometimes in life you meet someone who makes a difference. Well, you're about to meet someone who does just that. He makes a difference in how you sleep. His name is Dale Gingrich from Monterey Mattress Company. Let's go see how and why Dale makes a difference.
And go in, close the door. Perfect. We're rolling.
Sometimes in life you meet someone who makes a difference. Well, you're about to meet someone who does just that. He makes a difference in how you sleep. His name is Dale Gingrich from Monterey Mattress Company. Let's go inside and see how and why Dale makes a difference.
Perfect. Let's do one more. One more. Because we have that truck. Man, I didn't know it was so busy down here. Rolling.
Sometimes in life, you meet someone who makes a difference. Well, you're about to meet someone who does just that. His name is Dale Gingrich from Monterey Mattress Company. Let's go inside and meet Dale and see why he and how he makes a difference. Didn't like it.
Didn't like it? Okay, let's do one more.
I had the camera.
What's so wonderful about digital?
I had the camera for a minute there and I lost it.
Okay, perfect.
Ready?
Whenever you are.
Sometimes in life you meet someone who makes a difference.
Sorry, it's cut.
Sometimes there should be IEDs and roadside bombs for people just like this.
That's why cops get paid $500 a day to stand there and
Yeah.
control the set. What a gig. A little bit to your left. Perfect.
Sometimes in life you meet someone who makes a difference. Well, you're about to meet someone who does just that. He makes a difference in how you sleep. His name is Dale Gingrich from Monterey Mattress Company. Let's go inside and see how and why Dale makes a difference.
We're rolling.
Sometimes in life you meet someone who makes a difference. Well, you're about to meet someone who does just that. He makes a difference in how you sleep. His name is Dale Gingrich from Monterey Mattress Company. Let's go see how and why Dale makes a difference.
Laid out in the truck. Yeah, you can put that on film if you want.
That's great. That's just some static shots good. Fly Panda Bear has a logo. That has to have some meaning.
Because my neighbor was a retired art teacher for the Carmel School District. And so when he retired, he wanted something to do, so I gave him a job
Magnifique.
Okay.
Wow.
Pull back just a little. Pull back, pull back. Good, good, good. Keep going, keep going. Cut. Perfect. Set up the tripod and sound.
We're rolling?
Yeah.
Dale, what makes your beds different? Why do your beds?
Well, right now I'm doing things that most companies don't do. I'm building a special custom size mattress.
A custom size,
Yeah,
different than a king or a different
for an
bed?
antique bed, which
Now they're normally not as large, correct? As
usually
king
a
size.
little undersized, so
Okay.
you can't fit a regular
Okay.
one in. And this is the beginning of the foundation
So did you go out and measure for this
Yeah,
bed?
I went
So
to the
you went to the
job and measured
okay.
the,
All right. So you measured, and then you come back, and this is one of the first things you do.
yeah, I cut. Once I decide the sizes, I cut all the materials and I assemble it. And
Wow. Wow. So when you were a boy, where were you born?
in the Midwest, in Iowa,
Okay. And when you were a boy, did you tinker or did you make things?
I
or did you,
always been building things as soon as I could walk.
really? So what? Anything? Can you build anything?
Well, I pretty much so, yeah. When I was a kid, I made toys, and I think it's time to cut because I goofed on that one.
When did you make your first bed?
So, 20-some years ago.
And do you remember? Who was it for? Was it for a client? Were you working in a store or?
Okay.
Do you remember?
Fasten this or the glue will set on me.
Okay. Whenever you're ready.
All right, let's
So
go.
you can-
Rolling.
Uh-oh. Out of staple.
Cut.
Oh, Wyden, you want to start talking before that compressor starts? While
Yeah.
we have a clear
Yeah.
sound?
When is the compressor going to start?
Oh, I know, whenever I use enough air.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm
Okay.
saying. If we can do it before, we'll have to clean up.
You rolling?
So,
Yeah, yeah.
Dale, you were born in the Midwest.
right.
And what brought you to California?
Well, tough times back in the 80s in the farming country, and I decided to try something. Different.
Were you building or making things back in the? What was your job back east or in the Midwest?
I was a building contractor, and I also had a fairly large farm, beef farm.
Okay.
Raised my own beef and corn and soybeans and alfalfa hay and so on. Did that along with doing the construction.
Gotcha. So you came out here for a better life, really,
Yeah, hopefully.
in essence. Yeah. And when did you come out here? What year?
In 84,
84. Okay.
25 years ago.
Okay. When did you start Monterey Mattress Company?
I bought it in the beginning of 86.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's been 23 years now.
Why mattresses? Why beds?
Well, I went from one thing to another.
Okay.
Why don't we start with what brings you to Monterey?
Gotcha.
Because we got the other sound bite since it's Monterey mattress.
Got it.
Let's start from there.
We're rolling?
Yeah.
Okay. What brought you to Monterey in the first place?
Well, Brian was living here.
Your son, Brian.
Yeah, was living here, and I came out to visit him a time or two, and liked the area. And then the economy wasn't too great in the early '80s in the Midwest, so I decided to come this way. I actually got a job in a cabinet factory, managing a cabinet factory or a company. We built restaurant equipment.
Well, you are a general contractor from
Yeah,
back east originally.
I do have a California general contractor's license because I applied for my license here, and about 3 days after I bought a mattress company, I was accepted to go take my exam, which I did, and I passed my exam, so I have a general contractor's license, although right now I have it inactive.
Well, you know, I met your son by accident, really. I cold called because I'm a stuntman for many, many years, and so we were shooting a film here, and I needed some mattresses to do a high fall into, and he said, "What movie are you doing?" And I told him. He says, "Well, I'm very much a part of that film as well," and so that was great. So when I came in here for the first time and saw you and met you, and you were back here working with your hands and making these things, you were actually nailing some things together, and it was extraordinary, because when I found out that you make these beds by hand, that was pretty amazing to me. And then as I learned more about your beds, I realized you don't make better beds, you make the best bed. And so it was just amazing to watch you do what you do, and you do this every day, and your work ethic and your integrity and your ethic behind what you do just pours out of your product, and that's what I see the most, from all the way from here all the way to the showroom, which was really, really intriguing. And so first of all, I appreciate your time and letting us come in here and shoot this, because you just don't see this every day. You just don't see it every day, and it's really a breath of fresh air to meet someone like you, who brings the old school, back in the day kind of feeling of what we thought of when we were young growing up. And it's cool. I don't mean to be doing all the talking, but I'm just letting you know how I feel about it. And your work doesn't go unseen, or unnoticed. It's really, really good stuff.
Well, this part of it is sort of what I've always been used to, is building things. I admit I'm different on things. When I got into mattress business, guys would tell me, "Oh, that's not the way the big boys do it." I'd say, "I don't care how the big boys do it. I'm going to do it Dale's way. I do the way I feel is right. And if there's 100 other companies out there, they can all be in a group together. I'll stand alone if I need to."
Well, it shows. It shows. It shows. Good job.
Aaron.
Back to me. No, your back is to me. There you go. You're just finishing up. Are we rolling?
And we are rolling.
Hey, Dale. Nice to see you again.
Well, hi.
What are you working on?
Building a custom size foundation for an antique bed.
All right. And you're doing it by hand, obviously.
Well, pretty much so, yeah.
Good, good.
One of a kind. Each one's different.
Yeah, no kidding. So you measured this one and you brought it back to the shop, and you're the measurements, and now you're going to make it, custom make it.
Yeah, right.
Okay. All right. Good job. Cut.
All right. And we're rolling.
Saw, please. Saw. And off. You rolling?
We're rolling. And 1 second.
Hey, Dale. How are you?
Hi, doing
It's
fine.
nice to see you again. Thought I'd stop by and see what you're doing. What are you working on?
Just working like I do all the time.
I know. What is this?
It's a custom size foundation for an antique bed.
Foundation, like for box springs, kind of? Or?
Yeah, anything that supports a mattress, I call it the foundation.
Wow. Cool, cool, cool. Good job. And up in here now.
Okay, we're rolling, and you're on.
Okay. Dale, what are the, I saw these earlier, and I don't have a clue what this is. What is this exactly?
Well, it's a mat of spring steel wire. We call it flexilator that we place right on mattress spring. What that does, here we can put one over here on the
Okay.
spring, and I
Cool.
can explain it
On this one
better.
here?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's pretty good. What this does, it narrows up the spacings on the coils. It keeps the padding up on top so it doesn't pocket down in the coils. So
What doesn't pocket down the actual
the padding
material?
that goes
Okay.
on, there's a
Wow, this looks
an
so
insulator
flimsy, but
pad
it's not, I guess. This
like
is
this.
steel? This
Yeah,
section?
that's spring steel.
Spring steel.
It'll bend, but you can't kink it.
Interesting.
And then this is a primary insulator pad that's made out of like trimmings from garment mills in that way.
Interesting.
And so
Really?
that goes on next, and then various layers of padding. But that will keep the spring steel wires will keep the padding from going down in the coils
This
over
is
years.
this is like remnants or extras and things that are discarded almost?
from from
Wow, that's
trimmings
cool.
from garment plants.
That's neat that they use that. Okay, so this keeps, so now what goes on top of this?
Then we use various layers of foam padding depending on which mattress we're building.
Okay. Wow.
Some of them are mattresses are
This-
use latex padding. Some
I can
poly
see
padding.
now that, you know, hanging there, I didn't know what it was, but now I can see this is, and not everybody uses these anymore, do they?
No, not everyone. A lot of companies don't. Most companies don't.
And some companies use a plastic or even a fabric almost, I understand,
Yeah, right.
that breaks down over time. Okay, great.
And we are rolling. And action.
Dale, I saw this when I walked by earlier and it caught my eye and I just thought it was really interesting. What is this exactly?
It's a material we call flexilator. It's a mat of spring steel wires, and we use it right on top of a spring. Here's a mattress
Okay.
spring, and I'll show you where it goes. It is the first step.
Why?
Goes
What's the
on
purpose?
the spring.
Why?
What it does, it narrows up the spacings in the coils, so it will keep the
Interesting.
padding, which on top of that we use another layer of padding, so it'll keep the material from pocketing down in the coils, so you don't feel the springs after
Oh, you really don't.
years of use.
You don't. You don't feel the spring at all. That's interesting. But without this, you would feel the spring, huh?
And
See this? You do. Oh, I see what you mean. It goes right through there.
Goes
Look at
through.
that. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
and then the layer of padding here, we wrap it over the border and fasten it so the border wire is protected. That
And not everyone uses this, do they?
No.
A lot of times.
Some people use a narrow piece in the center of the bed, but the reason I know it works, if I strip down an old mattress, it's good in the center where the bed has got the use, and out on the end where they thought they didn't need it, it still went into the coils.
Wow. Wow. That makes a lot of sense. Thanks for showing that to me.
We're rolling. And action.
You know, Dale, earlier when I walked by, I couldn't help but notice this, and it caught my eye. I don't know what it is, but I'd like to know, because what is this?
Well, it's a material we call flexilator. It's a mat of thin spring steel wires that you can't bend, it'll flex. And we place that, I'll show you here, on top of a spring when we start construction on a mattress.
Sure is
What
lightweight.
that does is narrow up the space in the coils so it'll keep the padding
Really?
from pocketing into the coils.
And this is
with
steel.
years.
This is-
Yeah,
okay.
spring steel.
Spring
Real
steel.
thin and strong. You can't kink it, but it will flex.
Wow.
And then
And this keeps the fabric or whatever from
the
going down in
padding,
the
yeah.
coil.
Then
Okay.
we use an insulator pad.
What's
that is-
this?
That is made, we call it the insulator pad. It's
Okay.
made from, like trimmings from the garment companies that are, it's
Wow.
pre-processed and made into a mat.
Not necessarily recycled, but extras like remnants or whatever, so
Right.
that so everything's used. That's pretty cool too. Wow. Oh, I
So
can
this
feel
is
it. I
placed
feel
on
wait a
the,
minute,
on the spring.
Let me see the difference. If I put this here, that goes right into that spring. I feel the spring. Okay, you're right. You know, it's so lightweight and thin, you wouldn't think it does that, but it does really take up that, it levels it out. And I don't feel the spring here at all. Wow. Wow. Okay. Good job. Do most companies use this type of fabric or this or
They use a lot of companies don't use the flexilator
Okay.
at all, or they may put a small piece in the center of the bed. The reason I know it works, we've tried with old mattresses that have had years of use, and where it was used in the center of the bed, the padding is still flat, but on the ends, when we roll the padding back, you can see where it's gone down into the coils.
Okay. Now you hear about all the time, every year you're supposed to rotate your mattress and all that sort of thing. Is that true?
It's a good idea to rotate them. The one thing that we do, we still make double-sided mattresses so you can turn them. You will get more use out of the mattress that way. Most companies nowadays make it sound like they're doing you a big favor. They say, oh, this is a no flip mattress, you don't have to turn it, but what they don't tell you, you can't turn it because it's not finished on the bottom side.
So when you say both sides, you don't mean you not only can you turn it this way, you can actually
You
flip
can
it over.
actually
So you
turn it.
okay, I got you.
I tell people that's their choice. If they don't want to turn our mattress, they don't have to, but it's like rotating tires. If you do, you'll get more miles out of it.
Okay, good. Okay, great. Good to know.
Light goes on, and there's an 80-year-old man and woman in the hotel room, checked into the hotel room, and some black samurai has just walked into their window in their room at 11:30 at night, and they are freaking out. So I'm stuck over in the corner, over underneath the window in the carpet, and the man gets out of bed, grabs a necktie off at the foot of the bed, comes running over to me, and starts whipping me with this necktie. And I said, we're doing a movie, and he says, sure you are. So I finally get my steel claw unstrapped, and I'm on one foot, because if I take another step, that claw is going to get stuck in the carpet. So I'm doing this with this guy behind me, and I get out, and the security meets me at the elevator, and he says, oh, you're the stuntman. I say, yeah. But these poor people almost had heart attacks. I mean, I had nunchucks and samurai swords, and this guy comes in the window in the middle of the night.
We can get other sound bites.
Okay. Actually, hold on one sec. Just for a backup.
Yeah, you never know when we'll get a better sound bite.
Yeah. We can splice it in.
That's what that great white shark said.
All right, we're rolling, and action. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, this is a mat of flexilator that goes right on the spring unit
Flexible.
after the spring is on the table.
This
and
is steel.
That's, yeah, flexible steel,
Huh.
spring steel.
Okay.
Flexible, but you can't kink it, but it
Okay.
bends, and it'll narrow up the spacings in the coils.
Okay. Keeps the
So-
fabric from going down in
From
that
going down
hole.
in.
Okay.
And then the next thing is a layer of padding that goes over the spring unit.
Okay.
So that keeps the padding up on top so it doesn't go down.
This padding
down
is
into the
interesting. What
coil.
is this made of?
It's made out of trimmings from garment factories that
Wow.
the scraps, and they
So like
process
remnants
it,
and
grind
extras
it up
and things like that. Wow.
and make a
Well, that's
mat
great
out
that there's
of
a
it.
use for it. That's
Yeah.
wonderful. Well, I can feel the difference here. I can't feel the spring itself because of those.
Yeah.
Let me, hold on a second. Let me feel the difference here. That's a big difference. Look at that. Wow. Check that out. No, you're right. Okay. That thin thing makes that big of a difference. That's great.
3, 2, 1. Room tone. Backlight is flooding big time here. Okay, and you're on. Action.
Dale, now I know you call the foundation, you call the box springs, or what I would think of the box springs, actually foundation. Is that correct?
because there are different kinds of foundations.
But this
I call anything. This is
the mattress itself that goes on
mattress,
top
not
of the foundation.
right.
Gotcha. This is amazing. This is pretty cool. Now, what is this material here exactly? Is this rubber?
Yeah, it's natural latex that we use for the foam encasement
Okay.
around the spring unit, and then the spring unit sets in
This keeps,
inside.
this holds,
the
this is
casement.
really cool. That is just so, now what is this? This just fits inside. Now what do you put on top of this?
Well, then we use latex padding, natural latex on the padding, and then the quilted cover, which is,
Now I'm not gonna break this if I get up here, am I?
no,
I'm gonna do this. This is way What makes this cool, the neatest thing is that these are there's so many of these coils that it seems like every part of my body that's touching this, it's contouring to my body. Is that correct?
Right, correct.
Wow. Unbelievable. Wow. Huh. I better get off this before I start dreaming. I dreamed I was awake and I woke up and I was still asleep.
And these are, again, our own pocket coil springs.
Georgia.
you can explain that when we talk later.
Is this MOS? Without sound?
Yeah. Okay. And we're rolling. And action.
Now, I've heard you refer to the box springs, or what I think of a box springs, as the foundation. Is that
Right.
correct? So, why do you call it
Anything
foundation?
that supports a mattress, I call it the
I
foundation.
got you. Okay, but this
There's
is
various types of coil counts and so on of box springs. They're firm foundations that actually don't have the circular coil in it.
right. This is the mattress. This
This
is not
is the
the
mattress,
foundation or what I know as a box spring.
Right.
This is. These are all linked together. This is very, very interesting. This just fits into this pocket. What is this material? Is this rubber? What
This
is
is 100% latex, what we call foam encasement, and the spring unit fits inside
Okay.
this, and then layers of padding goes over the spring unit, and then the quilted cover, which we use 100% organic, natural.
And the reason this works so well is they're so close together that it contours almost every part of your body when you're
Right.
when you're in it, instead of
Right.
just foam, which is kind of a generic wave, if you will. Do you mind if I climb up
Sure,
on this
go
thing
ahead.
and give it a try? Yeah. This is a lot easier than being in Vietnam or Cambodia. This is really, I can really feel the difference here. Wow. Interesting. I can really see why this would make a difference. You know, I used to love my bed at home. This is great. Wow.
Second. We're rolling. And action.
Okay, just so I know a clarification. You mentioned foundation, where I think that is box springs, but you call it foundation because it supports the bed, correct?
Anything that supports a mattress, I call a foundation.
Okay.
There are various types, some with circular coils, which there's more, give more compression to it, some that have a zigzag shape that makes them
Okay.
firmer, and there's wood foundations that I build too.
Gotcha.
Are like a platform bed.
But now this is the actual mattress itself.
This
It goes
is
on top.
The
of
beginning of a
foundation.
mattress,
Okay.
yes.
And this is this rubber? What is this?
It's 100% natural latex rubber.
Really?
Nails.
These are amazing. These are so close together that when I even put my hands on it, it feels comfortable because it contours to my hand. I mean, even when I push down on it. And this corner, or this whole, this is all one piece, correct? This whole
Right.
big thing, it just fits down into this pocket, if you will. Now I see, I have a feeling you have trade secrets, or you probably don't want to tell me where your fishing hole is. But I would imagine you probably, after spending a little
There's
time with you, you're keeping some
Some things I do different than other companies.
Well, and why
That
wouldn't
sets me apart from them.
Well, there you have it. Good job. You don't mind if I crawl up on top of this thing?
Go
do you?
ahead, be my guest.
Ay, ay, ay. Here we go. Okay. This is comfortable just like this. Now, 2 broken backs later, as a stuntman, beds are very important to me, and I love my bed. Well, I used to love my bed before I came here. This is something. I can feel every part, every piece of my body that's touching this. I can feel the contour. I mean, it's better than a foam. Oh, this is something else. Wow. Okay. Well, what time's breakfast?
They're encased springs and our own custom ones.
Wow.
Far better.
To any mattress company and saying, you know, I'd like to see your bed, and then this used car salesman comes out and he tries to sell me a bed, I would never know unless I really came to your showroom or factory and saw this firsthand. I really truly see the difference. So, wow, good job.
Okay.
Now, Dale, we're here at the factory in your sewing room, and this is where you almost prepare almost for the finished product, correct? Or the final application that you actually visually see on a mattress or whatever, correct? What takes place here?
Well, here's where the material comes in that makes the finished cover. We have the material quilted, and then we have to cut panels to the right size for each bed, and then we serge the edges down on the covers.
Okay.
And for an inner spring mattress, we sew a flanging material on. That's what's done on this machine here that attaches to the spring that keeps this cover shifting.
How long does it take to do something, to finish a top like this, would you say?
Well, we're in stages of cutting and sewing, and so we don't build just one mattress at a time.
Okay.
We're always doing so. It's a little hard to say actually how
Okay.
long it takes to build each mattress, because we don't start on one and just build that one only. We're cutting numerous panels at a time, and we stockpile them on shelves, so we're ready to assemble a mattress that we can just pull the cover for that mattress and finish assembling it.
Now, it looks like some of these are aren't brand new, aren't computerized, where you now go into a sewing store or whatever, and because my wife has one, and you just push a button and it does whatever that computer tells it to. This looks a little bit different than that. So, but
Well, it's a heavy-duty industrial machine, and it's probably, this machine here could be 30 years old and still running fine.
Wow, wow. Well, this is a real tribute to your work. It's kind of works hand in hand. You're kind of old school, and the way you do things is pretty amazing. And it's been a pleasure listening to your stories and seeing your product, your final product, and your integrity and all of your heritage and your culture. Everything you are goes into your work, and it really shows. And I appreciate your time here. It's and letting me see this. It's pretty cool stuff.
Well, thank you.
It was a pleasure.
Glad to show you.
And whenever you're ready.
Okay.
Action.
Dale, when I came in to look at your mattresses and decided on your company, as I got to know you, I was intrigued by your background and your work ethic, and I really wanted to know who was behind this operation and the integrity involved and whatnot. And I picked that up in you, and I just wanted to ask you some questions, some personal questions, if you don't mind. Such as your childhood, where you went to school and that sort of thing. Where did you go to school?
Well, a little country school with probably 18 students in 9 grades and 1 teacher for the whole bunch.
Wow. And this was in what state?
In Iowa.
And I understand there was Amish influence in the family. Is this correct?
Well, the Amish community was about 10, 15 miles away.
When I was younger, and on the farm in South Carolina, whenever we would buy tack for our horses, saddles and bridles and such, there was an Amish family and Mennonites who were actually making these, and we would travel because my father always said, if you want things that are made perfectly, these are who you want to do business with. So that was pretty cool. So do you think that transcended into your work ethic, that the ability and their focus?
Well, I'm not sure about that. It was just my sons tell me I was born with it, natural talents, which I don't know if that's true or not. But
Well, how do you? Let me ask you this: how do you see the world today? When you think of the world, what do you think about it? You know, mankind, let's say, in the world.
well, I think maybe some people have a little too much idle time. If they worked a little harder, they wouldn't have time to get into all the trouble we're in nowadays.
Do you think the internet has influenced that microwave mentality about having everything so accessible, and do you think that's affected the family unit?
Probably has some. We didn't have those things in the old days. I joke with my kids, tell them I was born back in Abe Lincoln's time. You know, I walked to the country school. We did have a telephone, which was a party line, 13 people on the same line, and it was a hand crank phone. We didn't have electricity where I grew up because the power lines hadn't been built out that far into the country yet, and we did have a radio that we ran off of 6-volt car batteries, and that was my job once a week to take the battery out to what we called the wash house, where we had a car generator bolted onto a 2x12 plank and run by a little Briggs and Stratton engine. That was my job to once a week charge the battery so we could listen to the radio for another week.
Do you remember some of those things you listened to?
Well, back in the old days, it was Fibber, McGee, and Molly, and Amos and Andy, and oh, a whole bunch more if I could think of all of them.
Well, let me ask you this: do you watch the news today? Do you know?
Some.
Yeah. Yeah, like CNN or shows or local news or whatnot.
I like watching more like history channels and things
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah.
What do you think of when you see these kids today walking around in their pants pulled down and baggy pants, all that sort of thing, and they have all the tattoos everywhere and piercings? What do you think of when you see someone like this? What goes through your mind?
I guess it's a trend for this day and age where they look back at the way we were dressed. In the days when I was a kid, we wore what we call bib overalls, and that was my school clothes. When I went to school, I looked like a farmer, not an old one, a young one.
If you were king today, if this were a kingdom and you were king, what's the first thing you would change if you were king?
Gee, I never gave that much thought as to what I would do for that.
What about politics and whatnot? When you think of politics today, what do you think of the two-party system opposed to people going? Let's say someone goes in, they're a Democrat or they're a Republican, and they just vote across the board for their party, not really knowing the candidate in every section. So what are your views on that?
My views are I can't figure out why they can't just dwell on the issue at stake and forget which party they belong to. Seems like most of the time the only thing they agree on is to disagree, or if they vote for a wage increase for themselves.
What's your favorite word?
Favorite word for what?
Just your favorite word, that if you had to pick one word that you think is your absolute favorite word.
There again, I'd have to think about that for a while.
What would
I
be
would-
your least
well,
favorite word?
Oh,
then?
I don't know.
Probably a swear word, maybe, or something.
Not really.
Well, what's your if do you think religion is important? In
Yeah,
one's-
I think so. In things, although I get a little turned off by some of the TV ministries, as far as I'm concerned, if people use God's name for their own benefit and wealth and so on, I think that's probably one of the greatest sins there is. I think they should live every day the best they can and not figure they go to church one day a week and then they're a devil the rest of the week in other people's sight.
You know, there's a theory that out there that the supreme being created spirituality, and man came along and said, "Let me organize that for you." And so there's a group for everyone who wants to join a group, that sort of thing. So, what do you think about that viewpoint?
I don't know. I guess I never had the time to think on a lot of these issues. I just did my own thing and what I wanted to do.
And
And-
if you were going away tomorrow to a distant planet, let's say you were alien abducted, and you had to leave, you had to say, you had to choose something to tell your children that would be your legacy. You know, what would you like for them to know? What do you think is important about life that you would like them to know about you, or about what are good tools for them? What would you say to them if you had to leave tomorrow and they're probably not going to see you again for a long time?
live every day the best you can and enjoy life while you can.
Wow. Well, that's pretty good stuff. And I
Because
think,
we never know. Tomorrow is guaranteed to no one.
well, good job. Good job. Well, I appreciate your time and your candor. And, you know, these are lessons to be heard by many. And I hope that they are listening, because they're simple lessons, but we kind of go full circle. The people who live in the farm can't wait, their children can't wait to move to the city because they want to know about the city, and then they're in the city long enough, they go, oh my gosh, if I could just save enough money to move back to the... They always go full circle, it seems. And so I really appreciate your time and sharing your thoughts, because there's probably not a lot of times you get to do that.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Okay, rolling?
And he had a beautiful woodworking shop just like a half mile outside of town from our home.
Now, I understand you had a woodworking shop as well that was nearby, and that you became quite a craftsman.
Well, yeah, I've built things my whole life, and yeah, that was one of my goals, to get a place to do woodworking, which I built a shop, and I remember the day I was building that shop, shingling the roof, was the day that President Kennedy got assassinated. So that was one of the things I remember. I was on the roof when I heard it on the news on the radio.
So you had that battery charged up out there listening to
Well,
the
I had a brother-in-law that enjoyed sports in that way, and he always had the radio, even if it was up on the roof, with us. So.
Gotcha. Now, when I would go to visit the Mennonites for our tack for our horses and whatnot, I was fascinated. Did they have? Did your town have the buggies and the
The town we lived in
Yeah.
later on after I got married, yes, was in the middle of a Amish community.
Gotcha. And you left that and you moved to California.
Yeah, 25 years ago.
What brought you to California?
Well, actually, from there, though, I moved to the country. I lived in the country. We had a farm. We lived on the farm for years, and
Did you do woodwork on that farm as well, or?
I did some. I'm still running a construction business along with the farm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, good, good.
And then later on, I sold the woodworking business to my nephews, and my brother-in-law bought me out.
And how long have you been married?
52 years plus.
And how did you meet your wife?
I was actually working at a hospital in Evanston, Illinois, and she was
Doing what in the hospital?
maintenance work in the engineering department and
Okay.
so on,
Okay.
fixing locks and you name it,
Okay.
hospital beds, whatever needed repairing.
And she was at the hospital?
She worked there as what she called a candy striper, as a volunteer for, I guess it was the place where they did physical therapy.
I
yeah.
gotcha. Do you remember?
Anyway, we met in a tunnel between the buildings. I was going one way, she was going the other, and after we got by each other, we both turned around and looked at each other.
Is that right?
So we, somehow or other, I guess I got a date, and
Do you remember your first date?
yeah, I think so.
And-
We went out and played miniature golf, and I remember she hit me with a golf ball right in the stomach.
And you're still talking to her today.
Oh, yeah.
So, and how many children did you have?
5.
5 children. My goodness. So, what brought you to California, though? Do you remember? Was she up for it when you told her we're going to California, or how did that?
She thought we'd never leave Iowa, but I came out to visit Brian, our son, out here, and I went back and told her we're moving to California. So
What'd she say?
I guess when are we going or what? So we had to figure out what to do. We packed up and came this way. She got a job teaching at MPC College. She's a pediatric nurse practitioner, but she got a job teaching. She was actually teaching at the University of Iowa in nursing before we moved out here.
Do you still stay in touch with friends and whatnot, distant relatives or whatever, back in Iowa?
Sure, we go back about twice a year.
Okay. Okay.
We still have 3 daughters and 1 son living back there, and I have 2 sisters and various cousins and so on.
Now, when you take time off for yourself, what do you like to do on your time off? Or, not that you take much of it, because I know I can tell you work really hard all the time. But what's your perfect day off? You know.
Would be to go fishing.
Ah, okay. Ocean
I'm
fishing.
not
or-
ocean fishing.
Okay.
Well, any kind of fishing would do.
Okay.
I'm not a golfer. I'm not a sports fan as far as ball, but I love the outdoors because I grew up in the outdoors. I had 3 sisters, so I would leave the house and head to the field someplace to
Okay.
get away from my sisters.
Okay. Good. 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 Well,